Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're heading, conceptually at least, to the red planet.
That's right.
We're looking at this massive push, NASA, SpaceX, everyone aiming to make Mars humanity's, well, second home.
It really is the ultimate engineering puzzle, isn't it? Mars is right next door, cosmically speaking, but it's possibly one of the toughest places imaginable for humans.
Right.
Our goal here is to kind of weigh up those harsh realities against, well, the potential that might be hiding there.
Okay, let's dive into that, starting with survival. What are the, say, top 4 things on Mars right now that are just fundamentally dangerous to human life?
Well, first up is the atmosphere, or really the lack of one.
Okay.
The air on Mars, it's incredibly thin, maybe 100 times thinner than Earth's, and it's mostly carbon dioxide. So you can't breathe it, obviously, and it offers virtually no protection.
Wait, so if the atmosphere is that thin,
Yep.
that means radiation, right? Earth's atmosphere shields us a lot.
Exactly. That's the second big threat. Radiation hazard. Without a thick atmosphere and without a strong global magnetic field like Earth's, the surface gets blasted by solar and cosmic rays. Really dangerous for living cells.
Okay, thin air, radiation, what else?
Then there's the cold. Just bone-chilling cold. The average temperature is around minus 63 degrees Celsius.
Minus 63 C, that's, wow. Antarctica levels, but all the time.
Pretty much. And at night, it can plummet way lower, below minus 100 C sometimes. That's the extreme cold challenge.
Yikes. Okay, number 4.
And finally, just to make things extra difficult, you've got dust storms.
Ah, the famous ones.
Yeah, and they're not trivial. These can be planet-encircling storms lasting for weeks, even months. They block sunlight, which is bad for solar panels, and clog up equipment, just a major operational hazard.
Okay, so it sounds pretty bleak. Thin air, radiation, freezing cold, dust storms. But the research we looked at suggests Mars isn't just hostile, it actually holds some keys for survival. What are these hidden resources?
This is where it gets fascinating, yeah. Despite the challenges, Mars has stuff we can use. The absolute game changer is finding abundant water ice.
Water ice, okay. Where?
It's confirmed just beneath the surface in many areas, and tons of it at the poles. And water is, well, everything.
For drinking, crops.
Exactly. Drinking, agriculture, but critically, you can split water, H2O, into oxygen for breathing and hydrogen.
Hydrogen for rocket fuel.
Precisely. LH2LOX. So Mars basically offers the ingredients for breathable air and potentially the fuel for the trip home. It's huge.
That's incredible. Kind of a closed-loop system potential. What about building materials? We can't haul bricks from Earth.
Right, and that's where the dirt itself comes in the regolith, that red Martian soil. It turns out it's quite rich in useful minerals, things like iron, silicon, titanium.
So what's the plan? Use it like concrete.
Sort of, but even more advanced. The idea is using it for 3D printing. Imagine landing robots that can scoop up this regolith and print structures. Habitats, landing pads, radiation shields, all made from local materials. It dramatically cuts down the mass you need to launch from Earth.
Build with the planet itself. Okay. And you mentioned the atmosphere is mostly CO2, which is bad for breathing. But can we use that too?
Yes, actually. That toxic carbon dioxide is another resource. There are processes like the Orang Sai experiment NASA tested on the Perseverance rover
Right, I remember that.
that can convert CO2 into oxygen.
Yeah.
And other processes can use it to create methane fuel.
Mhm.
So even the atmosphere, the problem, becomes part of the solution.
Okay, so Mars gives us water, building material, and even fuel components from the air. How does this translate into actual engineering plans? What are the main solutions people are working on?
Well, it boils down to 3 main strategies, really. First, you absolutely need protective habitats.
Right, shielding from everything we talked about.
Exactly. Think underground shelters, or structures built on the surface, but then covered with thick layers of that regolith, maybe several meters thick. These create safe zones, shielded from radiation and the extreme temperatures, like little earth bubbles.
Makes sense. Dig in or cover up,
And that leads directly to the second big idea, ISRU,
which stands for.
in situ resource utilization. It's basically a fancy way of saying living off the land.
Using those resources we just talked about.
Precisely. Developing the machinery, the chemical plants, the drills, everything needed to extract that water ice, process the regolith, pull oxygen and fuel from the air on Mars. The less you have to ship from Earth, the more feasible the whole thing becomes.
So ISRU is key to sustainability. What's the third part? The really long-term vision.
That would be terraforming. This is the grand ambition, the centuries-long project, potentially, to gradually change Mars itself.
Make it Earth-like.
That's the ultimate goal, yeah. Ideas include things like giant orbital mirrors to warm the planet, releasing the frozen CO2 and water from the poles and soil to thicken the atmosphere, maybe eventually making it breathable. Well, it's a huge undertaking, generations away if possible at all.
Wow. Okay, so habitats, ISRU, and eventually maybe terraforming.
Connecting it all, the sources argue that while living on Mars seems impossible now, the pace of science and engineering makes it a serious possibility for the future. Mars is really being framed as humanity's crucial backup plan, for long-term survival and expansion.
And that brings us to a final thought for you, our listeners. The sources note something fascinating. Billions of years ago, Mars was likely warm, wet, maybe even had life. Now we're talking about possibly terraforming it back towards something like that. So the question is, should the goal be to make Mars a copy of Earth? Or should we focus on adapting ourselves to Mars, preserving its unique, albeit harsh, natural state? Something to think about until our next deep dive.